everyone, welcome back to my 13 Frights before Halloween. This is Sandy and we're here with day 4 on working on this large folio album. We've already patterned the outside of it, the large spine and the 2 1-inch spines. We patterned and made our mats for here on the inside. We patterned this spine. We made our waterfall yesterday. So today we're going to work on this far left 8.5-inch section. We're going to make our transparent pocket. I'm going to show you real quick what that looks like. Let me move this out of the way. So this is the original one that I made. So you open this one up and this inside, and this one has pages in it so you can't see it when you first open it, but here it is on the inside. I'm going to use the same stamp. This has a chipboard piece here, and then it has a flap, and then it has the mat that comes in and out. And I'm going to show you how to make this frame and miter these corners if you want to miter it, or you can do them just straight, whichever you prefer. So let me move this out of the way and we'll get started on this. So you do need a stamp if you're going to stamp. If you don't want to stamp, that's fine. And you either need archival ink or StazOn, and I'm using this one in StazOn because I can't find my archival one. Cardstock, I've already cut mine, and these are, now make sure you're scoring on the right side, so your 9 3/8 and your 9 1/2 are real close to each other and it's hard to tell. So I take my ruler and double check and make sure that this is my 9 3/8. So I put the 9 3/8 at the top, score at 1/2 inch and 8 7/8, or if you prefer, you can just turn it around. Here's your 8 7/8, or turn it completely around and score again at 1/2 inch. So you're wanting 1/2 inch on each side for this piece here, just like that. Then turn and put your 9 1/2 at the top and make 1/2 inch score. So this is going to make the attachment flaps for our pocket. So this is the direction it's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and fold those up right now and go ahead and burnish those. And we will miter cut these 2 corners as well. So I'm going to do that and go ahead and get that ready. We are going to be cutting out the inside of this. So grab your scissors real quick and just cut out the V where these lines intersect here in the corner and here. And I'm going to fold them and burnish and make sure that they're not intersecting. So you want them nice and flat in here. This one needs a little more trimmed off. There. And this side needs more trimmed off. So just double check and make sure this one needs a little more. That we've got enough angle so they don't intersect right there in the corner. Okay? Now then, I'll go ahead and burnish these really well. We're going to score our flap one as well. We got this. So let's take our flap that is 8 1/4 by 2 5/8, and we're going to put the 2 5/8 in at the top, right here, and we're going to score at 2 and 2 1/8. Now really what I've done is scored at 1/2 inch and 5/8. So either direction you want to do. And then we're going to fold these and burnish. And fold the little one that makes your 1/8 of an inch space. That just gives us a little room in there for our pocket stuff. And normally I score the inner one first. It makes it a little easier. But once you get that scored, it will lay in there correct. I mean, get it burnished on the score line. There we go, and then I'll redo the 1/2 inch one. And so we have that little bit of space in there to help with that hinge, with that flat piece. Okay, so let's put this up. And we're going to work on our acetate piece first and get that stamped. Let me grab that. And I'm going to go ahead and lay it on this so that we can see what we're doing. And I'm sorry about the glare. Let me turn that light out for now. Still got some glare, but not as bad. So we're going to stamp. I don't know if that's going to work. Let me just get a flat piece of paper. And I think I'll get white. I just want you to be able to see what you're stamping on. Let's put this on white. And take your cloth or something, clean cloth, and brush off any lint that you might have on there. I've got a lot of mine. Got kitty cat hair. Cat gets up here all the time. There we go. That's okay. Now I'm taking my stamp that I'm going to use. You don't have to stamp if you don't want to. Okay, so I'm going to ink this up. I'm going to get a lot of ink on it and make sure that I've got it juiced up and inked on this rubber stamp. I normally stamp with the stamping platform, so using a wooden block one like this is kind of nerve-wracking because I'm afraid I'll mess up. But I have plenty of transparency, so I'm going to try to make sure I'm straight. And I'm going to stand up so I can get a good stamp right in the center. Felt like it moved maybe a little bit. Press down. Lift up. So now we have to completely let it dry. Set it aside somewhere so we don't mess it up. Next, we're going to cut the center out of this pocket square that we just made to make our frame. Now you can either use a ruler and pencil to mark 1 1/4 inch from each edge and make your square. Cut it out with your mat and your X-Acto knife. If you have a trimmer like this, you can do it this way. So what you do is you make sure this part here is set at 1 1/4 right there. You can see the 1 1/4 and then the part of your handle. Make sure your flaps are folded in. This left side, set it at 1 1/4. Make sure you've got it straight all the way down. Set this down, and here on the bottom, you're going to have to look. We have 1 inch, and then 1/4 would be at, it's hard to see, at 8. 9 inch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 3/4. Take it down to 7 3/4. So be very careful. Right there. And stop. Okay. So we have that first cut. Just have to work it through because you've got it folded under here. Okay. Now the next cut. So you reset this to 1. I turn it so I can see. 1 1/4. Right there. Whoops. Make sure it doesn't move on you. 1 1/4. And I'm going to take this, carefully lift it up, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this other side. Put it at 1 1/4. Make sure it's straight. Drop it in. And what did I say? 7 3/4. Oh, this one's different. Sorry. Make sure it goes all the way in. So this one sits, so you're really going to have to look at this to get it, because it's a different size this way. So I still want it 1 1/4. And that's going to bring it to 7. This is really hard to see. 6 6 and looks like 6 and no, it's 7. Sorry guys, I'm having to turn it so I can see the glare. Yeah, 6 and a half, 6 and 5/8. Seriously. Now I have to make sure I'm hitting it. Whoops, it moved. Okay, everything's still fine. Right. I'm going to stop it short and then I'll finish cutting it out the other way. So I'm going to put this in, this back at 1 1/4. Just be very careful if you're doing it this way. Okay? You don't want to cut it out wrong. So maybe it's better with your craft knife. But you know, I cut crooked with a craft knife. Now this one brings it back 7 3/4, right? There. Okay. So that one I think I got right. And then we have one more. So I'm going to put this in at 1 1/4. There. Straighten this all up 1 1/4 here. Hold it straight. And this one you're going to get to cut down to the one that you've already cut. So that one's marked for you. Okay, now let's see how we did. This one here, I didn't quite finish it out, so I'm going to put it back in because I didn't want to make a mistake. Put it back in at 1 1/4 and drop this in, and then I cut it to this line here. There. Okay. So we got that cut out. That's our pocket frame. Save this. You can use this for a tag or something. So let's move this out of the way. Sorry that took so long. It seemed like it did. So we have this. And we're going to take our transparency. And mine is nice and dry. I've already checked it. See how it works for that. Now we're going to right along the edge on the back side of your frame. That means your hinges fold towards the back, okay? On all 4 sides. Let's burnish those backings on. Okay, so go ahead and pull the tape backings off here. Okay, so now with the sticky side facing up on your pocket, place the acetate that you stamped your image on onto the pocket and be sure you burnish down all the edges where the score tape is. Now we're ready to add pattern paper to our frame. So I cut 2 that are 1 1/8 wide by 8 7/8 tall, and 2 that are 1 1/8 tall by 8 1/4 wide. This is important if you're using directional paper, which the stripes pretty much are. I want them to go up and down. Now that I'm going to show you how I miter my corners around a frame. If you like the method of where you just put your pattern paper one strip down on each side, I'm going to show you this. I'm not attaching it. And then you overlap this like this. So this makes it have that box look. Okay. Kind of like that. You might have to trim some of them down. This way you don't have to do the mitering. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to miter. And hopefully I get this right. Okay. So I'll open these up so it kind of lays down a little flatter here. Get this out of the way. There we go. So I'm going to put on first. I'm using my glue. Make sure I'm putting it on the bottom and getting it on nice and even from the edges. That. Okay, burnish that on, and then go ahead and put the top one on. Oops, stuck it right here. Grab my glue. There's a lot of steps to this, and you got to do it in the pretty much the right order. I don't want to get anything out of order as far as putting it on the page. We got to make sure these are pretty even here. But I do like to get my pattern paper on all of it that I can before we actually put it on, get it on the page. Okay, so we've got that. Now this is where we need to miter. So I'm just going to make sure I've cut it right. Okay, so I lay it on there. I'm going to use some temporary adhesive. Just a little bit on each end. I'm going to attach this down and then I'm going to be ready to cut it. Just put it where it needs to go. Make sure it's lined up. So I'm just using some temporary to stick these on so I can show you how to cut for a miter. So make sure they're lined up. Oops. You want to make sure from end to end and side to side that they're lined up here and here, and then also side to side. Now then, take your ruler and a pencil, and from the corner of the patterned outer edge here, from the corner, draw a line to the opposite side at an angle, right like that. See that? Mark it where you can see it. Okay, do the same on all four. So I'm just marking from the outer point to the inner point. That's where I'm going to be cutting just the one piece. Turn this and get the others from the point here to the inner point there. So what we're doing is cutting this little triangle out on just the ends of the side pieces, and then we'll glue it back on and it will look mitered. Like both of them have been mitered, but you've only actually mitered one because you want this one goes all the way across. So take your scissors and make sure you're cutting at the point and go straight across like that. And here, now I had already inked mine, but I'm going to re-ink them again just where I cut. Okay, grab this one here, same thing, from the point all the way across. Okay, so that should look pretty good there. I'm going to double check it. And since I'm going to ink, you can erase your pencil mark if you see any. Then I'm also going to ink it, so it should be okay. This one goes on this side. Make sure you don't get them mixed up. Which side goes to where. Grab the ink. I wish I had bought more of the solids, prints and solids, because I love this orange check. So I only had 2 sheets of that, but we'll make do. I'll make do with that. Okay. So now this is going to go here and there. So let's take my glue, glue along the edge. Of course, I got distracted and had to go somewhere, and I left my glue undone. Hopefully it's not too bad. There we go. Make sure we're lining it up. There we go. And I'm still going to erase a few pencil lines right there. And see, I love how the mitered look gives it like so much detail. So let's put the other one on. And line it up down here. We're lining it up with the patterned paper. Okay, looks good. Finish that. Erase any little pencil marks you might still see. Turn it around because I got it upside down. And there's the pocket with the skull. Transparent pocket. Okay, so now let's grab our book and we'll work on the flap next. So here we go. Work, and remember, you open it up. Here's the front of my book. I open it up. I open this part in here. I'm going to fold the inside back in on itself. We're working on this. This is the front, inside front. This is the first 8.5 here that we're going to work on. So let's move my pocket out of the way. Now we're not ready to put this on yet. And I also picked out from the chipboard pieces this Abracadabra. And I had this pearl brad, but it was a pale green, like a summery green, and that's not going to work. But I wanted to use it. So what I do when I need to alter a brad, a pearl or a pearl brad or a clear rhinestone, I take my dark, this is N10, my dark Copic marker, and I color it, and it works. It does not, it dries. You can alter, you can buy all clear rhinestones and all clear or all white pearl brads or rhinestone brads, and you can color them any color you want with a Copic marker. Okay, that's the tip for the day. So that's what's going to go on as the chipboard piece on our pocket. So next we need to put our flap down, and I want to round, I believe I want to round the corner of the flap. Yes. Around the corner of the flap and around the corners of the patterned paper of the flap. So I'm going to grab my 1/2 inch corner chomper and cut the 2 bottom corners around them, opposite from the fold. Okay, just seems like my computer is really close, but maybe my camera came down. Let me check this. Yeah, it looks about right. I guess because this project is so big. Okay, so we've got this rounded. Now we've got these 2 pieces that we cut, and these are for the flap. I'm just looking, we want 2, they're 8 1/8 wide by 1 7/8 tall. And I picked this check and I picked this purple. I want the check on the front and the purple underneath inside. So I'm going to round just two corners of this orange, and pay attention to my direction here, and two corners of this purple. Okay, so that's that. Let's ink these real quick because I have not yet. So we ink these. Oh, you know what? I forgot to turn my lights back on. Let's brighten things up some here. Okay, sorry about that. It takes a minute for the camera to adjust when I turn my lights on. Okay, it's better for me. My camera's pretty good at adjusting. It can film in dark. I can't see in the dark, so I'm going to ink these up. So we're coming along pretty good on this project. It's day 4. And if we finish up before the 13 days, then I'll have to come up with some fun little projects, even though I've been doing some bonus ones each day so far. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to glue this one on the front, which means you want it on the front. This is folded back. Your attachment flap is folded back. So we're going to get the glue here. Put this on the back side. Glue that down. I'm sorry if I'm off camera. Just give me a second here. Okay. So sometimes I have to bring stuff up close to me so I can see it. And I don't want to get my head in the way. Anyway, there we got that. We burnished that on. That's the front. And we flip it up. We've got the hinge down here on the bottom, and we're going to glue this one right here on the inside. Now we're not ready yet to put the pocket on because we need to do our pattern paper, but we've got to put this on, this flap, before we do the page pattern paper or the sections pattern paper. It's all very complicated. So we have to make sure everything's going to fit once we get it. Oops, too far over there. Well, it'll fit. Make sure you don't go over your score lines down here at the bottom. Well, I still have it too far over. See it here. You don't want it over your little 1/8 of an inch score line down at the bottom. So burnish it once you get it on. Now we have the flap ready. Okay, so now let's take our pocket and fold the sides back up. And we're going to lay this where it's supposed to go in the book, which means away from the fold. So it should fit right along this edge over here on the outer edge, down at the bottom. Okay. The reason I'm doing that is I want to get my position for my flap, which fits right over this like that. So I'm looking, the edge comes over just a little bit. It's a little bit smaller than the actual pocket. I wanted it to fit in there that way. So I'm coming in about 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So I'll put glue on my flap, just on the 1/2 inch part. And we're going to put this right here at the top. I'm going to look really quick. Put my pocket in. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay, go ahead and burnish that in. Now the pattern paper that we want for this section, I picked the purple. We don't have to ink. Well, yeah, we do ink some of the edges. Never mind. It's going to go right in here. And I cut this to 8 3/8 wide by 10 5/8 tall. Use your ruler. Double check for yours. Go ahead and ink this. Thought I had inked, but I had not. Okay, now we're ready to glue this down. I want the solid purple facing up. Make sure it's not going over the fold lines of any of your sections here and up here. Make sure everything still folds up. Okay, so burnish that in. Okay, so I'm going to put it up probably about 1/2 inch from the bottom. Now I was hoping this chipboard piece would hold this flap down with this pocket, but I am afraid it's not going to. So I'm going to add another magnet set here. So let me grab those. And this is going to be put on just a little bit different. So you need 2 sets. Now if you have the smaller basic gray, they would probably work. I'm going to use these 2 that I have in my stash. Okay. And then we're going to put one on the back of the butterfly, because we're going to cover that butterfly with a scrap of paper, the back side, because you don't want it unfinished. It doesn't look good. Okay, so we put this here, glue my butterfly onto that, and then fussy cut it out. Glue on the back of your butterfly on the magnet part too. Okay, it doesn't take a very big scrap, so I just had this scrap of orange. It works great. Press it down. And then I'm going to take my scissors and fussy cut around the chipboard piece. Now if you want to camouflage the edge of the chipboard, you can use a black marker or a Copic marker. And just kind of run it along the edge. Just like that. And that also inks that paper up. And that can get down into the point. So just kind of paint the edge of your chipboard to finish it off some. This brush tip of I'm trying to make sure I'm in the camera, Copic marker works really well in little tight areas like this. just take your piercing tool and re-poke that hole in there. And then the brad should go in okay. That, and now we have the backside patterned. Got a little bit there that needs just a little bit colored, where I'll cut it in a little too far. There we go. Okay, so that's ready. Okay, so next I'm going to decide where I'm going to put my butterfly here on my flap. And of course I goofed again. I should have waited to cover this to put this on. So I'm going to be covering it with a strip of decorative paper. I make mistakes all the time, forgetting when to put things on and when not to. So I need to cut out a little more paper here. In there. Have some showing I don't like. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to take my hole punch and punch the small one. And I'll put it in the center. Pretty much the center. Let me pull this down so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Where's my small hole punch? Right there. Just going to eyeball it. Check it before I punch. I'm looking at it from the side. And I punched. Now I'm going to put that in. Now I didn't have to. I could have just glued that on there. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I could have just glued it, which will be better anyway. But I've already punched a hole. So on the edge here, we can glue the butterfly to kind of stabilize it. So I could have done that without, but the brad's going to make sure it don't fall off. So I'll stick the brad on. Stick it on with the brad. Wish someone would tell me why they make one prong shorter than the other. I've always found that kind of annoying. Because now I have half the glue on me. Okay, got it right there. So I can put a little more glue further up on the butterfly here. See that short prong? It always wants to just not go through. It's crazy. There we go. I'm going to flatten the prongs. Make sure they're turned vertical here. So they're not sticking out where I might not put any paper. Turn that right there. Okay, I like that. That looks cool. The abracadabra, the butterfly, kind of sort of pretty and yet still spooky looking. So now I need a scrap of paper that I can glue like a strip right there where I goofed up. Goof up, because you don't want that brad showing. I cut a strip from this scrap, the black check, 3/4 wide by 8 1/8 tall, and it's going to fit just below where that rounded edge is. That worked out good. And I'm going to cover that. And that's the great thing about crafting with paper. If you goof up like that and you do something out of order, you can just cover it, creatively cover it up. So later when I'm decorating, I might add, you know, like a sticker or something across on there to decorate it up more if I want to. If not, I don't have to. So I just make sure I burnish it really well over the brad. There. I want it to stick down. And there, that's decorated. And I kind of like it because it's going to match other parts of the album. Except I got this one crooked. Too tall. Too far up on the side. Oh, Man, I may have to stop for the day. And that glue sticks so well. How far am I going to have to pull it? There we go. Maybe that's enough. I think that'll be enough to straighten it out. Then cover all that up. Ah! You never have oopsies like this, right? Put glue over there on that brad prong. Oopsies. Pay attention. Make sure it's straight with the pattern. Okay, that's better. All right, you burnish that. Okay, we've got that done. Okay, so now we're ready to put the pocket on. And like I said, I'm going to drop it down to about a ½ inch from the bottom. So as we do with all other pockets, we're going to just put glue on the bottom part first. The bottom ½ inch attachment flap or tab, whatever you like to call it. And we're going to line it up. Whoops. Side to side. Get some of that sticky off of there. About a ½ inch from the bottom. Let's do it straight, okay? There. So it's not closer to this edge here, so it's not going over this fold. Make sure she's straight. Okay, burnish that. Let's open it up, burnish, and then we will put our tape over that to keep it from anything sticking down in there. So, okay, now we're ready to attach the side. I'm making sure I'm not crooked or anything. All right, so now glue on the remaining 2 tabs. I know I'm off camera here on the bottom, but that's can't be helped. I have no other room. So I want to bring it up. Make sure if there's anything stuck on the inside of your transparency to wipe that off on the inside, because you can't do it very well once it's done. Bits of paper, if you've got a cloth or something to paper towel to wipe it with, I suggest you do that. So I'm going to wipe all this off and then quickly get it glued in. Get it glued down. There we go. And burnish those sides. And there's the transparent pocket put in. Next, we're going to make a insert. Make sure it is sticking down on the side. Don't want it popping up. Okay, and this closes down. And then we've got to put a magnet under here. And I hadn't done it yet because I wasn't sure where it's going to hit. The magnet's up here. So let me, what did I do with my other half of my magnet? I'm sure it's stuck to something somewhere, so I will get another one. Hang on. Okay, so take the magnet, and I'm going to attach it to this one on the back of the flap and the butterfly. And it's going to attach to this section here underneath. So I'm going to put it underneath my pocket right here, and then I'll probably put a piece of tape underneath to fix that, because there's nothing there to hide it, or another piece of paper that I can put underneath. So I'm just determining for me which is the side that's going to go up, and it's this one. So that's where I'm going to put my glue, on the one that's magnetized. And I'm going to let it find itself. Okay. press down and let that dry. So we're going to let that dry for a bit. Okay, now underneath where the magnet is, I'm going to take this little scrap of paper I had left from the border strip I cut. So it's about 3/4 of an inch tall. Doesn't matter how wide, you know, an inch or two. But I'm going to slip it in underneath and make sure it goes over that magnet that's on the back side here. And just burnish that really well, wipe up any glue. And now, nothing's going to hang and the magnet's secure. So there, it closes down. So now I'm happy. Sorry about the glare. You're going to have the glare with the transparent. So next, I'm going to slide this, I'm going to move this out of the way. Next, we're going to make our tag that goes. So we have 2 pieces of pattern paper that are 5.5 wide by 7.5 tall. And we cut this cardstock to 6.5 by 8 3/4. So I've already got that cut. And then I pulled out this ephemera card. But I'm going to cut it in half, and it is 6 inches. So I'm going to cut it in half at 3. So there's half and half. So one half is going to go on the front, and the other half is going to go on the back. And then this got little tiny rounded corners. So let's see what I've got. There's a corner rounder. I know I have the smaller one. I have an 1/8 and a 3/8. So 1/8 is smaller, yeah. So I'm gonna, yeah, that matches it. I'm gonna round it with an 1/8. If you don't have it, just kind of cut it with your scissors, or just don't worry about it. So there we have that. I'll go ahead and ink my papers up and my tag that I'm making. I love this with the bat here in the purple kind of, and you can see part of a spider web in there. And then of course this I absolutely love. The witch and the moon and the cat on the broom and the bat. It's really cute. Now this, I don't care if I get ink on the outer part of it. I just think it adds to it. You can put a little more on this one. Just kind of let it come over the edge lightly. Okay, so there's that. And then I ink these. Well, first let me decide how I'm going to do. The orange is going to be on the front because the skull shows up better with that. And I know it's not as big as this. That's the way I want it. I'm going to center it right in here. Now I'm going to take a look and see what I want to do on the corners right quick. Okay, so I'm just going to round the corners and then ink it. So I'm using the 1/2 inch on this. So round all 4 corners of your pattern paper. I did a little different in the other book. And that's the fun part about paper crafting. You can change things up just a little bit if you want. So I did round the bottom corners of my tag, but then I did something different at the top. These I'm going to round. Okay. And then we ink these 2 up. And we're almost done with today's large folio project section for day 4. And I haven't decided yet what I'm going to work on tomorrow. Probably the pockets on the back section that are like this section. Probably those pockets on the far back. Okay. I'm pretty sure this project's not going to take 13 days. We'll see. Decorating takes a while too, if we do quite a bit of decorating. So I'm going to take this orange one here and I'm going to put it kind of centered best I can. So I'm going to put my glue on. And I apologize for the oopses today. Of course, it's Halloween. So all of that was caused by ghosts and goblins. I'm pretty sure of that. Okay, so center it, burnish it down. This will be my front side, so this is the side that I'm going to have the witch on. Just turn it over. Make sure we got the directions. This is the top. This is the spiders. And if you don't want to put pattern paper on the back side, you don't have to. But I just thought of course, I love the spider webs, and so I'm going to do it. So here we go, centered. Straight as you can. Burnish it down. Now we need a pull out for this tag. So let's grab our book again. And we've still got it open to the pocket. Now see, this is going to go in here. Whoops, by the way, this is the front. And it's orange, so he shows up pretty good. Like that. It's going to fit in there. And I just need to see how far I want my pull to be. Now this is a lot bigger than what I've used before, so it may not work. I'm going to have to trim it down. I'm going to lose that bat. Goes all the way in. Yeah. Get my pencil. So we want this to be about right there. We want it down a little ways from the fold so it don't get stuck. Okay. And then I want it to not be seen through the window. So I'm going to mark here. So it's about where that journaling line is. So I'm going to cut that. Just cut off one bat. So we still have our witch and everything. So let's round the bottom corners again. With put it up. 1/8 inch is what I used. And re-ink that. Take our tag out. So this is going to stick on here. And then this is going to go on the back. Like a journaling place. So it can come down further if I want. I'll decide on that. I'm going to put this one on first. Now to make sure I'm getting it in the right place, I'm going to put my tag back in. And line it up. Push it all the way in and then line it up side to side. You're going to see a little black. Like that. That's what you're supposed to see. Okay. The tag is going to go on that. About right there. Looking at it. Right at the neck of the witch, I think. I was hoping we get it right. Okay, so I'm going to put glue on the bottom part up a bit. Just to glue this right here on the front. I've lined this up here. It's all the way down. Pretty good. And the witch goes down that far. It's going to go centered right there. And see if we got it straight. Go. Okay, there's that. Let's see. Okay, that's going to work. Now, yeah, it doesn't show. Okay, good. Now the back side to decide. This is going to fit here. And I think I'm going to bring it up some. So I'm going to cut this second line. I'm going to cut down off of it. Does not have to be cut the same size as the one on the front. But I do want it not so big here. So I'll cut it there, and then I'm going to round the corners to 1/8 inch, the ones I just cut. Okay, re-ink that top. And then this one glues down here to cover this one on the back because I don't want that showing. And then it comes down on that like that. And of course it's not centered perfectly, but hey, I'm okay with it. So here we go. Some glue. And then we sandwich it together with this. There. And there's the tag on the back. And there's the front. And we just slide it in. And it makes the skull show up better. And that folds down. And that is your transparent pocket. Of course, we've got stickers and things that we may add different things for decorating. But that is day 4. I'm going to check how many minutes I've got and decide on a bonus project or not. Let's check back tomorrow for day 5, and we will work on the other 8.5 inch section right here. So that's day 5, and I think I'll do this one day 6. Okay, so there we go. Looking good. Let me check on the minutes and we'll decide on a bonus or not. Okay, so I checked how many minutes for each video clip, and yes, this project took a lot longer to make. So there will not be a bonus tutorial today on any project. So we're just going to wait till tomorrow. We'll start on our day 5 of our 13 Frights before Halloween, working on section 8.5 by putting our pockets, making our pockets and put them on. Then maybe that won't take as long, and I can do a little project tomorrow. So that's it for today. Thanks so much for following along. I'm hoping you're enjoying it, and I'll talk to you later. This falls down because I keep holding it up, but anyway, it fits in there pretty good. And you've got plenty of room to put other photos and things inside there. So that's where we're at on this project so far. So check back tomorrow again, 9 a.m. Central Daylight Time on my YouTube channel for day 5 of my 13 Frights before Halloween. Have a great day. Bye-bye.